Okay, Conor McGregor, 170 pounds. Why? This is a big question for me. I got to know why. Why 170? Cerrone's a 55 pounder. Conor's a 55 pounder. Cerrone's now a 70 pounder. Conor's now a 70 pounder. What the hell's going on here? I just want to know, what's the backstory on 170? Is this all about George Masvidal? Is this all about the one comment that Dana White made to TMZ and said George is too big? Is it as simple as that? Quite possibly. Does it quite possibly have absolutely nothing to do with that? Sure, I don't know. I would like to know why 170. There's another guess that's circulating around. Well, Conor's been out for a little bit. Conor, like anybody else, has gotten a little bigger. Conor doesn't want to work as hard as it takes to get down to 155. He's coming into this thing a little bit lazy. He stepped into a weight class where he's had problems before. He stepped into a 5-round fight. He got way ahead of himself on this thing. I mean, this is a dialogue that's out there. Well, I don't think anymore. So Conor just posted, or somebody took a picture of Conor in training. He was doing some kind of MMA or boxing sparring. He's got the headgear on. He's got the big gloves on. He's got no t-shirt on. Guys, it's the old expression, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You go see this picture of Conor McGregor. I mean, he looks fantastic. This guy looks like he's carved out of stone. This guy doesn't look a pound over 163. I bet that's a pretty good guess. And I'm really good at this, by the way. I could work at the fair. You know that little thing you go up to and the guy, give me $1 and I'll guess your weight within 2 or 3 pounds. I'm really good at that. I've been doing this my whole life. Walking into gyms and looking at other kids, trying to figure out who was in my bracket since I was 9 years old. I'm very good at this, I'm telling you. Conor's low 160s, mid 160s. It's not an issue that he was lazy. It's not an issue that he wasn't in shape. I mean, you could take one look at him. This guy looks the same as he looked the night he walked in to fight Floyd, the night he walked in for a world title fight against Khabib, the night he walked in to fight Eddie Alvarez. I thought that it was very telling. I think that any stories of Conor coming in big or sluggish, and that's a very real thing. And it's a little bit more real in the boxing world if you were to go look at the history of it. There was a fight specifically. Mike Tyson was going to fight Lennox Lewis. And it was very hard to bet on Mike Tyson because he had done one thing that was very bizarre, which is he held training camp in Hawaii. And so many people that just knew Mike and were in his inner circle and knew what made him tick and knew what made him focused and motivated and disciplined and work hard said, look, he just can't do that in Hawaii. Who the hell wants to go in the gym and train in Hawaii? You know, this guy's used to training in Vegas. This guy's used to train in California. This guy grew up in New York. Now he's out in Hawaii. Do they even have these boxing gyms in Hawaii? It was just one of these things. But then when he got to the scale, he weighed in against Lennox 8 pounds heavier than he had ever weighed. I think he weighed in at like 228, and he was usually down, 220 and 219. Going off the top of my head on his exact numbers, but the line moved overnight. The second that weigh-in happened, whoa, the line moved. People knew looking at it, said, yeah, that's true. His friends and peers were right. He wasn't able to train. He wasn't able to focus. He wasn't getting up and putting in the road work like he'd always done in the Casamado days at 5 a.m. in the cold and the rain. And the weight is evident of that. That's why I bring this up. So when I say a picture's worth 1,000 words, it also has a meaningful history within combat sports. There's a reason they weigh these guys in front of everybody and then face them off in front of everybody. There's a reason you could take a look at a guy. There's a reason. I mean, this was so big. To go back into a little bit more recent memory, when Stipe Miocic came out for the second Daniel Cormier fight and weighs in at 230 pounds, which was 9 pounds less than he weighed for the first fight. Nobody knew what to make of it. And a lot of guys went and put money on Stipe. They liked it. They said, okay, there's a guy focusing on nutrition. There's a guy that's been working on his cardio, and it's evident because of the scale. I'm looking at it going, but Stipe was always so lean to pull 9 pounds off. He had to pull 9 pounds of muscle off. I need an explanation as to why he weighs it. So the point is, regardless of how the fight weighed out, it created a narrative and it created a dialogue, but it also proved in hindsight to be a very real thing. You did see a Stipe that was in fantastic shape. I had Stipe right here on this show, and I asked him after the fight, I said, Stipe, you got to tell me, what the hell? Why were you so light? Well, his answer, there was nothing conspicuous about it. He said, I didn't mean to be at all. Said my wife cooked me great food. I ate the food. I drank the water. I did what my coaches told me to do. I just happened to weigh 230. He had no explanation himself. Okay, great. I can accept that. But I do think that we also have to accept what we saw in that picture of Conor McGregor. The guy looks fantastic. The guy is not a pound overweight. The stories of Conor slugging off, being out doing nothing but partying, moving up to 170 because he's not focused to make 155. None of those are true. And I think it does bring us back to the question, then what in the hell are we doing at 170?